Danielle Cage, daughter of Luke Cage and Jessica Campbell Jones, was named after Luke Cage's best friend, Dani Rand, who Danielle, along with her father, would later in life refer to him as her uncle. Moreover, Danielle was born in Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, with the New Avengers present, after the General Hospital's chief executive officer refused to receive her mother due to her superpower genetic sequences having no classification as a human mutate, which caused a fear of what she might give birth to. Fortunately, Danielle would come out a beautiful, healthy baby girl that looked just like her father, after Jessica's best friend, Carol Danvers, helped deliver her into the world, which Danielle would also later in life refer to her and Misty Knight as her aunts. So as time progressed, her parents, who was temporarily residing at the Avengers Mansion, would search for a nanny that had superpowers and was trustworthy. So after declining over several candidates, they settled with Doreen Alleyne Green, also known as the lovable, unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Thereafter, Danielle would temporarily meet Wolverine's clone or somewhat daughter, Laura Kinney, also known as X-23. Furthermore, Danielle would take her first baby steps while in the care of her grandmother, Alisa Jones. Unfortunately, later, however, Danielle would temporarily be mind controlled by her mother's arch nemesis, Zebediah Kilgrave, also known as the Purple Man, in order to get Jessica's attention and his sick, twisted amusement to terrorize her. Sometime later, Danielle will meet She-Hulk, who came to visit her during the early mornings of her birthday, treating her with junk food for breakfast to the disapproval of her parents, as well as gifting her Asgardian magic stone that, unbeknownst to everybody including She-Hulk herself, can summon gods of mischief. Luckily, Thor would later confiscate it from her, before her new nanny, Pam, took her to the park, while her parents set up the party decorations. Shockingly, when they returned, Daniella's whole body was turned purple, which devastated her parents, who were confused since Kilgrave was supposedly no longer amongst the living, and his body thrown into the sun by Carol Danvers. Surprisingly, or possibly unsurprisingly, Danielle felt her new skin color was pretty. Meanwhile, Jessica was disturbed after the thing she loved the most and held sacred and pure in life merged with the thing she hated the most. However, Luke Cage, still confused, hoped Kilgrave wasn't actually Danielle's biological father, since he sexually assaulted Jessica in the past, or possibly may somehow have a mental hold on her. So he contemplated on temporarily taking his daughter away from Jessica in order to keep her safe from Kilgrave, since no matter what the outcome was, Danielle would always be his child. So later, with the help of the powerful mutant telepath Emma Frost and Kilgrave's daughter, Kara, along with his other children, Jessica discovered it was Kilgrave's son, Benjamin, behind the scheme. After, Danielle was injected with a syringe at the park, with a mostly harmless but bad mixture of too much of his blood that turned Danielle temporarily purple. Nevertheless, he was defeated and Danielle was turned back to her normal color after a couple of days. As time progressed, Danielle will become a big fan of Snuggies, which is the equivalent of Pokemon, where you catch and train creatures. Furthermore, her mother will teach her that being a princess is for weak girls who are waiting to be saved by a prince. So during Danielle's imagination process, she was a superhero princess that had magical powers, which allows her to communicate and control flowers, along with having the authority over rainbows, with added obscure abilities like hands being able to turn into snakes to defeat and eat the faces of bad guys like Dr. Doom. As she named the sibling snakes, Herman, which is the boy snake, and Astrid, which is the girl. So, superhero Princess Danielle, along with her father, King Luke, will go on and defeat an army of mean and evil trolls that threaten to destroy their kingdom, instead of the stereotypical dragon, since she likes dragon, because her Uncle Dani has one for a pet that treats her nice. Anyways, the troll's leader, Hateface, who hates everything, which makes him ugly because hate is ugly, sent his monster Yuckbird to poop on everything, since the poop was a magical green and purple polka dotted excrement, as Hateface used his magic to freeze King Luke, who was no longer able to hug his daughter or protect the kingdom, along with other great heroes of the palace that were overpowered, until superhero Princess Danielle, who's a badass, which her mother taught her that word, brought out her secret weapon, her female tiger gator, named Jessica, that couldn't fly but could leap great distances, as it went on to eat most of the troll army along with the Yuckbirds and their magical poop that it enjoyed a lot, which ironically turned her back into human, after prior being turned into the monstrosity of a creature by Hateface due to his hatred of her beauty and strength. However, Queen Jessica will once again fall victim to Hateface's magic when he froze her, and next went on to make fun of superhero Princess Danielle because she was now all alone and lonely, which caused her to cry, before she made the brave decision to attack him with her snakes, who ate his face, which revealed his true evil human appearance. So superhero Princess Danielle next used her powers to make the flowers sing a beautiful song that made Hateface and his remaining army forget how to hate, since they were now happy. Thereafter, superhero Princess Danielle used her magic powers to unfreeze King Luke and Queen Jessica, so she can finally get hugs as well as everyone in the world, so they all could live happily ever after. Moreover, back to reality, Danielle, also known as Peanut to her father, and Dani to everyone else, would become sick with a slight cold, so she was brought to the best medical center in Harlem to be treated and next taught how to meditate and do yoga by her uncle Dani in order to combat her cold. Furthermore, Dani would meet the likes of T'Challa, Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Hawkeye, which during this time, Luke Cage, Jessica, and Tony Stark will go undercover 100 miles off the coast of Guam to infiltrate a submarine that was hosting a shady black market auction when it dived 200 feet underwater. Coincidentally, they would discover the first item for sale was Danielle's entire DNA sequence, which was stolen from Mr. Sinister by Declan Faye. However, Tony Stark will go on to purchase her genetic code for $30,000, so it doesn't fall in the wrong hands. As also, none of the mass anomalous supervillains were interested because Dani wasn't known to have any superpowers. Succeeding this, Dani will witness her father become mayor of New York City, while her mother surprisingly took in the other son of her archenemy, who was now orphaned but still superpowered, Joseph Kilgrave, after his 4 other siblings were devoured and kept together in a foster home in Queens. Fast forward into the future in a split timeline, after the Mad Titan Thanos invaded Project Pegasus and used their tech to build a pair of Cosmic Cube Isogauntlets, and then just started killing non-stop, which included half the world's superheroes, before he was eventually defeated. So after years would go by in a now dystopian world where Manhattan Island was flooded and the cold merciless supervillain Golden Skull and his men have stolen a boatload of priceless helium, the now 30-year-old Danielle Cage, who was now Captain America, would suddenly show up and use her thought-controlled anti-gravity shield to attack the crooks, as she now had the inherited abilities of her parents. With the slogan, "She don't just throw the shield, she is the shield," when abruptly she was teleported to an unknown time and place, along with other Avengers from different timelines, which notably, one was Jim Rhodes as Iron Man. Furthermore, it was Dr. Doom who requested their aid in helping him save his future from total extinction, when the complete subjugation of the human race by the Ultron singularity ended organic supremacy in the year 2420, when Ultimate Ultron created a multitude of drones to convert mankind into mindless organic robot bioslaves, which left less than 30 million unconverted humans on the planet. So our heroes eventually went on to help Dr. Doom purge his future from Ultimate Ultron's rule over it, as they attacked key points like the Avengers Tower in New York, which is the control center of all Ultron's drone factories. Then next, the central maintenance hub of Ultron's network, manned by Ultron's bioslave. And lastly, Ultron's home base that resembles the hallowed halls of Asgard, as Ultron took Odin's powers onto himself to become a god. Moreover, our heroes also face Ultron's own personal version of the Avengers. Nevertheless, our heroes would defeat Ultron, while his backed up network surprisingly transferred to a facility Dr. Doom strategically acquired months ago without Ultron's knowledge, and his deception to trick our heroes and helping him secure a victory so he could take over Ultron's work as his own and build his own evil empire. Now the Doom singularity, before he went on to quickly send our heroes back to their timelines using a time platform. Luckily at that moment, Thor managed to revert their transfer using Mjolnir to create a gateway to Asgardia, where they would later be discovered by Doom and attacked by his Doom army, which Danielle would manage to commandeer Doom's sluggish Doom Ship 3 with the help of the Hulk, and next take down Doom's battleships. Thereafter, Jim Rhodes managed to free Asgard's defenders, along with other warriors from other realms that were imprisoned in a magic mirror conjured by Loki's techno-sorcery, after our heroes were being overwhelmed by Doom's army. Surprisingly, after defeating the second wave of Doom's army, the Vision would reveal Dr. Doom was actually a rogue robot with his personality, known as a Doombot, which he befriended years ago, before the Doombot now called himself the one true Doom. So Vision convinced him to return to his heroic nature, reminding him how he once was a hero working alongside the Avengers and chose peace over war. Thereafter, our heroes went back to their respective timelines, where Danielle continued where she left off by defeating and apprehending the Golden Skull and his men. Succeeding this after having countless adventures across timelines with dozens of versions of herself that were all Captain America, Danielle, now back home, will come across the Golden Skull again in an abandoned Latvian embassy, searching and finding the world's last working time machine, as he next avoided Kang the Conqueror's time firewall to travel back to a different timeline, to wreck everything he can, to soothe his warped ego, and then sell the rubble for anything he can get. Nonetheless, Danielle went after him, and next requested the help from that timeline's Avengers, called the US Avengers, which included their leader of the now reformed AIM, the Brazilian billionaire mutant named Roberto da Costa, also known as Citizen V, who recruited non-evil members to his team like the Chinese genius Dr. Tony Ho, the self-proclaimed Iron Patriot, and her anti-gun rescue Iron Man-like armor, along with her girlfriend, the Norwegian superhero Aiku Jokinen, codenamed Enigma, who was once the undersuit for the part armor, and now its own thing, as well as the mutant Sam Guthrie, the heart of the team, known as Cannonball, who was joined by the wild card of the team, Squirrel Girl, and lastly, General Robert L. Maverick, the muscle of the team, known as the Red Hulk, with his genetic enhancement that makes him half as strong as the Hulk for 1 hour every day and a half or so, which is considered the hour of power. Moreover, they would track the fugitive Golden Skull in Miami, Florida, at the Wayne International Hotel Penthouse Ballroom, attempting to create a global kleptocracy by targeting and abducting billionaires. Unsurprisingly, our heroes would defeat him along with his new robot army, and next help Danielle transfer him and herself back to their timeline with the help of the US Avengers Transdimensional Squad that locked onto her unique time print. That being said, Danielle Cage is Marvel Comics' future Captain America.